We're always looking for ways to upgrade our gaming setup, right? I mean, I am. I bet you are too. I mean, and money's always a thing, budget, that sort of thing. One of my favorite YouTube channels to watch is Wyrmwood Gaming. They make very nice heirloom quality, solid wood, high quality for high prices sort of gaming furniture and gaming accessories. And they offer a craftsman guarantee or craftsmanship guarantee. Anyway, they're a bunch of craftsmen that make really high-end furniture. And they make very nice products that I cannot currently afford. Maybe one day, right? I mean, we can always dream. Valerian root helps. Greetings, good humans, and welcome to Tabletop Alchemy, where sometimes we look for affordable ways to upgrade our gaming setup. So we can, make our gaming space more fun for friends. And we thank our patrons for making such a cool little upgrade today possible. Here's to you guys. Thank you. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, I covet me some Wyrmwood quality gaming products, but I am definitely not their target audience. I mean, for two reasons, mostly. Financial and spatial metrics, I guess is how we could put that. Now, I don't know if you see the same things that I see in your social media feeds, but I do tend to see a lot of gaming spaces that are detailed, that people are showing off, that they've converted their basement into their D&D room, and it's completely got interactive lighting and a huge game table, stuff like that. It's all very cool. We're all probably thinking the same thing. We all want to upgrade our gaming space if and when we can. But if you're like me, then your gaming space might double as your living space or your workspace or your studio space or, all of the above. Hashtag apartment life. Now, this is the table I've been using to play skirmish games on for the past few years. It's just a little 32 by 32 inch folding table from Walmart. It's a card table, right? I think that's the correct nomenclature. It's cheap. It's lightweight. It folds flat when I don't need it. It's a bit rickety.
He ain't lying.
But it works for the most part. Mostly I've been using this table for solo play, like Silver Bayonet stuff, or, 1v1 PvP, right? Where it's just two folks rolling dice at each other on a small table. And we got to put all of our extra game gear like accessories and rule books and extra minis and of course our beers on other nearby surfaces. And 32 by 32 isn't even regulation size. Most of the skirmish games I've been playing call for a 3-foot square game board, which is 36 by 36 inches. Now, look at how my standard gaming mat just flops off the edges. It's not what we would call optimal. Now, I've always been thinking about going to Home Depot or wherever and picking up a chunk of plywood that's 36 inches square to just put on top of the card table. So at least the gaming mat would be fully laid out. But that particular size doesn't seem to be a standard cut for plywood in the home improvement stores, at least the ones by me. They don't seem to carry 36 by 36 inch pieces that are pre-cut to that size. So I'd have to buy a 4x8 sheet of plywood and have it cut down, which, I've done similar things before. So I was thinking, well, if I'm going to have to buy a 4x8 sheet of plywood and have it cut down, well, maybe I should just have it chopped in half, and then I'd have a 48-inch square tabletop. And I thought that would be cool because we could have extra space around the game mat or the arena, so to speak. But then I worried about the stability of an 8-inch overhang all around the smaller table and how likely it would be that I would be guaranteed to be moving around the table, to check line of sight angles from miniatures, from their point of view on the table and making sure my opponent wasn't cheating. And there's no way that I would not end up accidentally snagging a corner of that board and shoving the whole thing around on top of the card table because it was not fixed to the card table. So I was skeptical of this tabletopper idea. So then I wondered if I could just buy a set of folding collapsible legs to attach to a piece of plywood that I might get at Home Depot or whatever. And I went searching on Amazon, and of course, yes, they sell everything there, right? So of course they have a bunch of folding table leg sets or whatever. It's definitely a weird world that we live in right now, at least in certain countries, where we can find pretty much anything we want from a little box on our desk or from our phone in our pocket and just order it. It's a little bizarre when you stop to consider that for just a small moment. Anyway, I was considering this whole make my own table thing and adding some things up money-wise. So folding legs of an appropriate width cost about $100 to give you a pair of legs, right? And a 4x8 sheet of birch plywood at Home Depot is $85. That's 3/4 inch thick. Now throw in some hardware for probably 10 or 15 bucks, you know, bolts and whatever. And we're basically, you know, we're roughly around the $200 range. Plus, I would have to transport the wood sheet home and assemble the whole thing myself, which of course, you know I love to do. Assembling things is my favorite. Now, I know someone in the back there hogging all the donuts is yelling at me that there are definitely cheaper plywood sheets than birch plywood, but come on, man. You know I'm not gonna go for the cheap stuff. It's a curse. I'm well aware. I did this exact thing for my standing desk. I bought the legs and I splurged on the double motors so that I wouldn't have any issues with weight on the desktop, and I bought this exact type of plywood, 3/4 inch birch ply, and had it cut down to around 35 by 70 inches, and it's a really nice, you know, desktop that I have used for years. So I'd want my gaming table to be the same quality. But then, probably luckily, I kind of realized, I was hit with the thought that I don't think anything 48 inches wide will actually fit in my car. I have a 40-inch square photographic a bounce board. It's like an unfolding, it's called a V-flat. It's just a big segmented taped together chunk of foam core, but it folds down into a 40 by 40 inch square, and that thing barely fits in my car at like just the right angle, because I have a hatchback, it's a small car, and I was like, geez, do I have to get like 2 planks that are 2 feet by 4 feet in order to get them home, and then bolt them together in the middle, and then I'd probably have to, you know, build some kind of joining support thing in there too, in the middle of the 2 boards. So maybe I'd need 3 of those 2 foot by 4 foot planks, or some stringers, you know, 1 by or something, to, you know, make the thing stable. Or I'd have to rent a truck or a pickup from U-Haul, which is just another hassle, right? Just to get home this one piece of plywood. So, you know, surprise, surprise, but this idea was not panning out to be as easy as I thought it would be, which is pretty standard as far as Ignatius ideas go. And then it finally occurred to me to wonder if anyone just makes a 4-foot card table that I could buy. And yes, you are totally correct. That should have been my first question. Why it was not is what makes me me. Yeah. So I looked, and lo and behold, of course, someone does make a 4-foot square table, and it's a solid wood surface, and it looks pretty nice. I mean, it's got, you know, it's got all these rivets across the top, but they're flush, and, you know, we're going to be putting a gaming mat down anyway. I'm sure these are intended to have tablecloths put over them at banquets or whatever. I mean, it's called a banquet table, right? Anyway, they make a 4-foot and a 5-foot square version, but in my apartment, with my current setup, a 4-foot square is about the max my space can handle, with room for chairs and a little bit more room for people to kind of walk past the table, right? Now, this particular table is sold on a lot of sites. I mean, you can find it on Amazon and a lot of other places. I found it on Wayfair for one of the best prices. And Wayfair, of course, offers 2-day free shipping. And I mean, it's $205. I mean, that's like $80 less than the latest Games Workshop box set. According to our earlier math, some days, I would have had, I'm looking for the space where I am on the script, on the teleprompter. I would have had to spend $200 and still had to assemble everything, and it still wouldn't have been as nice, you know, with these curved corners and the soft banded edge and the beefy handrails. And Wayfair delivered it right to my door, which actually I was surprised by. I thought for sure they'd leave it, you know, down at the mailroom, and I was going to have to figure out how to carry the box up to my apartment. But no, the delivery guy brought it right up to my door, which I thought was very kind of him. Now, 6 inches of counter space around the table edge for players probably doesn't seem like much, but I could push the game mat into one corner like this, you know, which would give everyone, you know, double that in personal space. So maybe a 12-inch area on 2 sides, play across the diamond, so to speak. But, you know, we'll see. I think even having just those 6 inches of border space is actually going to be pretty nice. Now granted, those rivets across the top might mess with miniatures that have magnets installed in their bases, but I haven't done that to any of my minis yet, so as they say, that's a bridge to cross later, which, you know, is my favorite kind of bridge. And then I got another idea from Wyrmwood. We have the 6-inch counter space. You know what would make this even better? Even cooler? How about some cup holders? I never used to think that people needed cup holders on the edges, hanging off the edges of a table, but they've sort of become like this thing with gaming tables or whatever. And I was like, yeah, we only have the 6-inch border. Cup holders might be nice. So of course, back to Amazon I went, and yes, they have a lot of pretty affordable, simple clamp-on cup holders. And they had these 2-packs on sale from this one company. So I initially ordered 2 of the double packs, and then a week later I ordered 1 more just to cover all my bases, make sure I have enough cup holders for the potential number of players that might show up. And so I've got a total of 6 holders that clamp onto the table. And they have multiple sizes, like a smaller one and a larger one. And some of them have slots for, like, you know, people with fancy mugs, you know, so the handles can fit in there. And yeah, these things, they work like advertised. They clamp on and they're pretty nice, you know, and they were, I mean, roughly, I think the 2-pack I bought was $26, so $13 a piece. Maybe that's not super cheap, but it's not, you know, hundreds of dollars made out of, you know, heirloom wood and stuff like that. and they're removable, which is what I need them to be. And the whole removable thing, of course, is all tied into the idea of this table needing to be collapsible. The whole point of trying to get a collapsible table is the fact that it folds up. It's pretty beefy even when folded up, but that's not a big deal when I can't just have a whole new table standing in the middle of the apartment all the time. I just stack it along the wall with my other tables to save space, and even though it's heavy and a bit bulky, hey man, it works. So all in all, for roughly $275, counting the cup holders, I think I got a pretty decent little upgrade from my cheesy little Walmart card table, which in and of itself probably cost me $40 or something like that, right? And like I said, I can't fit anything bigger in my apartment anyway, and because my space needs to remain flexible, this worked out really great. So hopefully my friends enjoy the new setup, especially the cup holders. I don't know why I'm so fixated on the cup holders. They're kind of silly, but, you know, we'll see. We like to have beer and flavored waters and just drinks to go with the snacks, and I can put the snacks on the card table in the other side of the apartment, and everything works great. So, you know, folks are coming around to play the next scenario in our Rangers of Shadow Deep campaign, so I suppose we'll find out soon enough. Which reminds me, I need to go build some more terrain for that next gaming session. It never ends, right? The hobby that always gives. See ya. Something in my eyeball at the end. Something in my eye. I'll try that one more time. And I'll look like a psychopath when I end the video. I mean, more psychotic than normal. And then to go into acting like I just feel like a fraud. I'm authentic, I swear.